The rain tapped softly against the window pane as I sat in my quiet living room, holding a faded photo of my daughter, Emily, from her childhood days. Her smile in that picture was so genuine, full of the love we shared during our hardest times. But now, after my unexpected wealth changed everything, I wondered if that bond had been an illusion all along, shattered by the very fortune I thought would bring us closer. I remember those early years vividly. We lived in a small apartment on the edge of town, where the walls were thin and the bills always piled up faster than I could pay them. I worked 2 jobs, one cleaning offices during the day, another waiting tables at a local diner at night, just to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. Emily was my everything. Only 5 when her father left us, saying he couldn't handle family life anymore. I never spoke ill of him to her. Instead, I focused on building a life for us. She was a bright child, always helping with chores without complaint, and we shared simple joys like cooking mac and cheese together or reading library books. As she grew, I saved every extra cent for her education. She went to a good school, and I was proud when she graduated and started working at a small company. Our life was modest, but it was ours. We talked every day, laughed over coffee, and dreamed of a better future. Yet, I noticed little signs, how Emily sometimes envied her friends' designer clothes or vacations. I told myself it was normal for a young woman to want more, but maybe that was the first hint of greed. 5 years ago, everything changed. I inherited a large sum from a distant uncle I barely knew. His estate included properties and investments that turned me from struggling to wealthy overnight. Suddenly, I could afford a bigger house, better clothes, and help Emily with her dreams. I bought us a cozy home with a backyard, and we moved in together. At first, it felt like a blessing. Emily's eyes lit up when she saw the place, and she hugged me tightly. "Mom, this is our new beginning," she said. But wealth brings shadows. I noticed how Emily's friends changed around us, how conversations shifted to money and status. She started asking for things, a new car, help with her business ideas. I gave freely, thinking it was my role as a mother. Yet, in quiet moments, I reflected on how money can twist expectations. Emily had always been entitled to my love, but now it seemed she felt entitled to my fortune too. I pushed those thoughts aside, believing our bond was stronger than any material thing. We settled into this new life. I invested wisely, growing the inheritance into a stable foundation. Emily quit her job to start her own venture, and I funded it without question. Family dinners became more elaborate, but sometimes I missed the simplicity of our old meals. Grilled cheese sandwiches shared with stories from the day. Still, I held on to hope that this wealth would strengthen our family, not knowing it would expose the cracks beneath. It started subtly during a family gathering at our new home. Emily had invited her fiancé, James, and his parents for dinner. I prepared everything myself, wanting to make a good impression. As we sat around the table, the conversation turned to wedding plans. Emily's eyes sparkled as she described her dream ceremony, grand with hundreds of guests. Her future mother-in-law leaned in and said, "With your mother's resources, this could be the event of the year." Emily nodded eagerly, but when I suggested a more modest affair to keep things meaningful, she frowned. Later that night, alone in the kitchen, Emily cornered me. "Mom, you have so much now. Why hold back? This is my big day." I felt a pang but agreed to contribute more than I planned. The real blow came a week later when I overheard Emily on the phone with James. Once we're married, we'll convince her to transfer the house to us. She's getting older. She won't need all this space. Her words hit like a quiet storm, revealing a plan I never imagined. The first incident unfolded slowly, like a thread unraveling. Emily began pressuring me to co-sign loans for her business expansion. "It's just paperwork, Mom," she said with a smile, but her tone had an edge I hadn't heard before. I signed, trusting her, but soon the bills arrived. Higher than expected, with my name tied to debts I didn't fully understand. At night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of loneliness in this big house that once felt like a haven. Then came the second escalation. Emily started bringing James's parents over more often, treating the home like their own. They'd rearrange furniture without asking, and one day I found them discussing renovations in my living room. "This place could be perfect for us after the wedding," James said casually. Emily laughed it off when I mentioned it, but her dismissal stung. I began eating meals alone in my room, picking at simple sandwiches while they enjoyed elaborate dinners downstairs. The isolation grew, and I found myself counting receipts from grocery runs, wondering where all the money was going. The pressure peaked with the third incident. During a family outing at a cousin's house, Emily humiliated me in front of relatives. Someone complimented my success, and Emily interrupted, saying, "Mom's lucky with that inheritance, but she doesn't know how to manage it properly." Her words hung in the air, and the room fell silent. I smiled through it, but inside regret washed over me. Back home, I sorted through old photo albums in the empty guest room, feeling the financial strain as unexpected expenses drained my accounts. Socially, whispers spread among friends, stories of how I was holding onto wealth selfishly. Each day, the emotional toll mounted, cornering me in my own life until I could no longer ignore the truth. I tried talking to Emily privately. "Honey, let's sit and discuss this," I said one evening over coffee. She sighed, checking her phone. "Mom, you're overthinking. Everything's fine." But it wasn't. The house felt colder, the backyard overgrown from neglect. I skipped meals sometimes, lost in thoughts of how our family drama had turned this real-life story into something painful. Loneliness became my constant companion, amplified by the empty chairs at the dining table and unanswered calls to old friends. One afternoon, while tidying Emily's room, I stumbled upon a folder tucked away in her drawer. It contained emails and notes about my finances, details she shouldn't have known, like account numbers and investment statements. There was even a draft letter to a lawyer suggesting I was not in sound mind to handle my affairs. The discovery reframed everything. I realized Emily had been accessing my documents without permission, perhaps when I left the house. It wasn't just greed. It was a calculated plan to shift control. My heart ached, but a quiet clarity emerged. I still held the power, for now. Without confronting her yet, I locked away important papers, knowing this changed the balance, though the hurt lingered unresolved. I didn't react with anger. Instead, I took measured steps, starting with a visit to an old friend, Linda, who worked in finance. "I need advice on protecting my assets," I told her calmly over coffee. She helped me review my accounts, quietly revoking Emily's access without fanfare. Next, I consulted a trusted advisor about legal options. We drafted new documents, ensuring my wishes were clear and protected. I timed it carefully, waiting for the right moment, all while maintaining our daily routine. Emily noticed nothing. I kept conversations light, focusing on wedding preparations to avoid suspicion. I also reached out to a cousin, Tom, who had always been fair-minded. "Keep this between us," I whispered during a phone call. He agreed to support me if needed. Through it all, I stayed composed, journaling my thoughts each night to build resolve. This wasn't about revenge. It was about safeguarding the life I'd built step by step with dignity. The confrontation came on the eve of Emily's wedding. We were in the living room, surrounded by decorations. I handed her an envelope with updated papers showing the house and major assets in a trust under my control, with fair provisions for her future but not immediate transfer. "Mom, what is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. I looked her in the eyes and said softly, "It's to ensure we're both protected." "I've seen the plans." Honey James shifted uncomfortably as the truth landed. There were no shouts, just a heavy silence as realization dawned. The payoff was in her tearful nod. She understood the boundary, and the wedding proceeded, but with a new understanding of consequences. In the aftermath, we set clear boundaries. Emily moved out with James, and I helped them with a modest start, but kept my wealth managed independently. Over time, our relationship mended slowly with occasional visits and honest talks. I even forgave her in small ways, like sending a care package during tough times. This emotional story taught me that wealth can reveal hidden truths in family drama. In the end, true bonds are built on love, not fortune, and that's a lesson I'll carry forever. If this real-life story touched you, please like and subscribe for more calm, empathetic tales. Share your thoughts in the comments below.